That was a good job we're not live, because that was a terrible miss. Okay, alright. Yeah, okay, so I guess, let me just restart the game so it doesn't get too laggy. Play anyway. Yeah, I don't want... Go away, Steam. Right, yeah, okay, I'm going to switch you over to the race layout. You will be audible and light. Can you give me a sign when I'm definitely live? Would that be good? Cool. Now live. Excellent. Alright, gang. Welcome to this speedrun of 1999 turn-based strategy classic, Worms Armageddon. I am RuffledBricks. I think this is kind of an odd choice for an Obscurathon because it's a game where whenever I tell people that I run Worms Armageddon, most people do tend to know about it, but they all tend to ask the same question, which is, how do you speedrun Worms? And that's what I'm going to show you today, and hopefully not only are we going to show you how you can speedrun it, but also prove that it is a pretty darn good speedrun in its own right. So we're going to be doing a... it's a bit behind, so pretty much perfectly switched layout when you say good job we're not live. Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, alright, so we are still live, yeah? Hello, testing gang. I'll do some charming banter while we talk about these are the 4 icons that you get to choose your one-player options. This one is for people who are not serious about the game. This one is for people who are serious but know nothing about the game. This one is for people who are really serious about the game, and this one, don't even go there. This symbol says badness. Okay, all right. I'm gonna assume that we are definitely live. So yeah, this is going to be an any percent. An all missions any percent run of Worms Armageddon. What this means is we have to complete all 9 basic training modules, which will then be followed by all 33 of the missions in the game. We have to complete the basic training because if we do not, the game will tell us that we are rookies and we need to earn our salt. So, good. Right, okay. In that case then, we're going to start a run in 3, 2, 1. Off we go. So, this is basic training. It's basically just a primer for the weapons that we're going to be using the most of in the game. Starting off with grenade training at the beginning there. It's just a projectile you can throw where you can set the fuse of how many seconds it takes to explode. This is the shotgun training here. Shotguns just shoot in a straight line, unlike real shotguns. We shot through our own girder there because we've got too much girder and it just gives us a little extra room to shoot as a result. This is the bazooka. Bazookas are one of a small handful of weapons affected by wind in the game. The wind gauge is in the bottom right, if you want to know which direction and how strong the wind is. This is the ninja rope. Very important weapon, the ninja rope. Ninja rope enables you to travel across the map great distances by just swinging Tarzan style. You can do that, this training a little bit quicker than the way I did it if you get the right momentum going, but I very rarely do because it's quite hard. Grenade training number 2, same targets again for the first 2, but then we have an additional target over here which we increase the grenade's fuse from 2 seconds rather than just the 1 because it's a little bit further away. And fire punch here, a little bit of a nod to Ryu, Ken, Akuma, Dan from Street Fighter games. Use that to collect the fire punch crate on the right so that we've then got enough fire punches to do the targets on the left. Here's the ninja rope again. This time we are grabbing a dynamite and we are dropping that on this target like so. And you'll notice we're doing a little Alt F4 right at the end of each mission. This is called Fade Skip. This gets us to the menu slightly quicker than just waiting for the fade out to happen. And by doing that, in every mission in the game, then you actually save probably about 40 seconds over the course of the run. But you have to get the timing right on that. It has to be right during the fade out, otherwise you will end up just quitting out of the menu, and that will be counted as a loss rather than a win. This is the final training module here, the last grenade training. We have 5 targets, and some of them, as you can see, are in pretty tough to hit positions, like this one. This one on the far right here is a doozy, but we've got it. And then the last target up here, we completed our final grenade training here, out to the menu, and in we go into our first mission, Pumpkin Problems. So as you can see, we have an enemy team to deal with now, but we can ignore them because the object of this mission is simply to grab the crates on the far bottom right of the level. There it is there. And what I'm doing is I'm just damage tanking on this mine here to create a little pathway through to the crate for us to be able to grab it. You can also go around the pumpkin here. Which is slightly quicker but not as easy, and sometimes that's the byline for me. Mission number 2, Operation Market Garden here. This is where we start getting into the interesting pixel perfect stuff as we throw this 2-second grenade, bouncing it off the 2 flowers there to knock Sentry, Grenadier and Grenadier into a pile. We want to get worms into piles as much as possible if we're trying to kill them off, because it means we can kill more worms at once. And this is where the RNG of the game starts kicking in. So this shot here can go one of many number of ways. It's a miss, which is very nice. And here's another grenade here, pixel perfect, using the flower as a terrain marker here. As we launch it there, knocks the 3 worms through the watering can and into the mine below. And we got a lovely spread on that. We managed to kill all 3 of the worms off there, using the grave damage from one of the worms there to kill off the one to the left there. Thing to know about mines in this game is that mines detect the area around them every 10 frames. So because of that, pretty much impossible to know exactly what spread you're going to get on that shot, because it all depends on when they hit the mine, basically. Now I'm going to use the exact same angle for this second shot with the left-hand Grenadier here, because this is going to hit the Grenadier here, knocking them up under the flower there. 35 damage is good, because we should now be able to kill them off by bouncing a grenade down at them with Worm 2, like so. This is actually probably one of the most complicated missions in the game to learn, just because of the sheer number of angles you have to learn. You know, to cover any eventuality. But we got it. Another fade skip here, and now we're going to reset this next mission, All Quiet in the Library, 4 times. And the reason we're going to do this is because every time you fail a mission, which you do by quitting it, then the game will try and help you by giving you what fellow runner Mablack likes to call pity crates or mercy crates. So you get extra crates as a result of that, which contain useful weapons and stuff. And so normally you'd only get 2 crates at the start of this one. Here we've got 4. This is important because it helps with the first move that we're going to do here, which is this baseball bat, where we deflect the captain off the crate on top of 2's head there and into those 2 grenadiers, knocking all 3 of them into the water in one go. You cannot do that move unless you reset the mission 4 times before you start it. And that's why this is actually an any % run, because it means we will now get a bronze medal for this mission as a result. In order to get a gold mission, you have to complete a mission without you have to do it on the first attempt, basically. Now, Grenadier has done a bit of damage on 3 here, and what I'm hoping is going to happen is this field soldier here hopefully will walk all the way up to the right of this book. I've got a feeling because of 3's position they're not going to do this, but let's see what happens. So he's thinking about it, goes up the book. Okay, this is promising. Now what we might need to do is to do a shotgun. You can either do this or a bazooka on Worm 5. And it's looking like it's going to be a bazooka, so that's not quite optimum. However, all is not lost yet. We might still be able to get what I want to do here. So a crate is about to land over here that contains double damage, which basically is a utility that, as it says on the tin, doubles the amount of damage that any move that you do will cause. And we are going to do a airstrike using the double damage on these two worms here. Now, because of the position that they're in here, it probably isn't going to get a double kill there. Okay, so we've got the one on the right, but not the one on the left. Had the field soldier done a shotgun on the worm 5 on top of that book, there is a much greater chance that the field soldier would have moved closer to the other field soldier, making for a much better pile that we could have got the double kill on. But because they were quite spread out, there was definitely a chance this was going to happen. Nonetheless, shouldn't take too long for us to dispatch this field soldier, because they're pretty weak now. We have to wait for all these pity crates to get out of the way first. As you can see, there's a lot of medicine around. They're very much worried that we are not doing well in the health stakes on this one. I'm going to use a bazooka here just to blow up the crate there, because every time you blow up a crate, it creates a bunch of flames. As you can see, nice 43 damage on field soldier as a result. Speaking of blowing up crates, that's very important for the next mission. This is called Cool as Ice. This is kind of a shopper mission. We don't have any weapons to start with, so we need to grab some. But we're only really going to grab this Uzi if we can help it, because we want the flames on this from those crate there to knock the guard down. I almost thought it wasn't going to do it then, but it just did. If you're lucky, the flames will actually knock the guard into the water in the first turn, but that didn't happen, so we're grabbing this crate, which contains a flamethrower, using the jetpack to get there, and then flamethrowering the guard into the water, and hitting ourselves with the flamethrower to end the turn, just because flamethrower goes on for 5 whole seconds if you don't interrupt it. And that just saves a little bit of time. This mission is called Do the Locomotion. This one's been a bit of a rough mission over the months. Oh, I did it again. I did that in rehearsals as well. I changed weapon too early. Yeah, so what we do here is we did a back jump into a fire punch there. And you need to do the fire punch at just the right time there, so that you create this 1 pixel spur at the bottom of the fire punch tunnel. This means that we can then jump onto the tree like so. And now it's bungee time. Now what we do there is what we call a bungee fling. So using the momentum of the bungee to swing ourselves up, and then we detach from the rope and it flings us up and over the train so that we can get to... you see there's a crate in the bottom right hand corner. We need to get that. And in order to get that, we need to get this blue crate over here, which contains a jetpack. So just grabbing that here, and then I'm going to skip go just as I land in order to end the turn slightly sooner, so that we get out of the mission slightly quicker. Now this mission is called Sand in Your Eye. This is a kill all the enemy worms mission, but actually in the briefing it tells you you're supposed to secure a crate that is going to drop on top of this pyramid around about, I think, turn 6 or 7. But we're going to kill all the enemy worms off before the crate gets here. What I've done there is I just set off a mine there, which sent the adjacent mine over to a field soldier who was off screen. That knocked them into the water. And then use the bazooka there to send these 2 sentries into this little crevice down here. And this is going to come in handy for a move that we're about to do. I'm going to try and get a triple kill on the next turn using a weapon called a longbow. Longbow is similar to a shotgun. I forgot to mention with shotguns that you get 2 shots per turn with a shotgun. And you do with a longbow as well. Longbows just shoot arrows at the enemy, Robin Hood style, and shoot them off the camel's hump there. Looks like the mine is going to slow down the momentum of the field soldier there, but we've got just enough welly behind him to get him into the water. Then I'm going to use the camel's eye here to line up the shot for the next bit, where I am just going to nudge along and shoot this mine into the 2 sentries here, knocking them onto this first aid crate here. And what happens is the sentry on the left blows up, detonates the first aid as a result, which then kills off the sentry on the right. Now, the final move that we're going to attempt here is probably the hardest move in this mission. It's called a rope knock. First thing is this secret agent is going to fire a bazooka at 2. Always does that. Get a bit of damage from that, but never enough to actually kill Worm 2. And now what we're going to do is jump down here, and I'm going to lay a grenade while I'm on a rope. And there we are, flinging myself into the secret agent there. So the momentum of the worm knocks the secret agent in. Now, something to note about rope knocking is that actually you cannot do that during the turn time in this game, because all of the worms are basically just fixed in position if you try and knock them with a rope during that. So what I did there was I timed it so that the knock happened just after the 3-second retreat time from laying the grenade was up. And therefore that then loosens the worms from their velcroed situation so that you can knock them in like so. This mission is called Not Much Room Out There. It's another collect the crate mission. It's the crate in the bottom right that we are going to be grabbing. We only have one rope, and we had this girder starter pack here which we've used to pave over the sky just so that we can swing across to grab this teleport, so we can just teleport straight onto the crate like so. No messing around on that one. There is a one-turn version of that mission you can do as well, which requires no resets, but you have to swing across the entire map in 5 seconds, you know, during the retreat time, and that is fiendishly difficult to do. It's not a strat that I am up to, I'm afraid. This mission is called Big Shot, or Big Frog, as some people like to call it. Feels good, man. We are using a longbow again here to do our first turn. What we're doing here is we're just shooting these sentries into nearby mines, because the longbow itself only does 15 damage per arrow. So because of that, we need a little bit of help damage-wise in order to get them out of the picture. We also did the way we climbed that purple mushroom, by the way, was pretty much sub-pixel perfect. Like, you have to jump onto the side of it and then nudge 1 sub-pixel to the right in order to be able to get that somersault in. Now, here's a bit of AI manipulation that we're doing here. I've placed my worm in specific positions so that this worm is going to come up onto Kermit's eye there, shoot through the other eye, which is probably a little bit painful for the frog, but it's very useful for us because they're stood right next to a mine. And we're going to set that mine off there, if we can. There we go. And that's going to knock sentry over next to this mine over here, which we're also going to set off. Combined damage is going to be over 40. And that is going to enable us to... well, it's going to kill them off, is what I'm trying to say there. But before that gets counted up, I'm going to do my last move on the rope, which is grabbing that crate which contains an old lady. The old lady is going to nag this guard into the sea, like so. It's not quite how she works. Basically, just there's a 5-second fuse on her, and then when she's finished nagging, she just blows up. And then the other worm dies as well. So again, we managed to kill 2 disparate worms on the same turn, like so. This mission is called Water Surprise. Now, the object of this one is to kill off this general. However, we only have longbows at the moment. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to use those longbows to get these mines off the side of the Eiffel Tower, which presumably they have to hire handymen to do on a regular basis. Now, we need a weapon, a special weapon to get the general, and it is the one on top of the Eiffel Tower, which is an aqua sheep. To be able to climb up there, I'm going to place a girder. I need to find a very specific, well, semi-specific position. I think that's it. We will soon find out if that's it or not. But what this girder is going to do is it's going to deflect our somersaults as we go up there, which should enable us to climb all the way up to the top. And then the aqua sheep is basically, it's a cousin of a weapon called the super sheep. It's a sheep that can fly around the terrain, and when it flies into its target, it will explode. It can also go under the water, hence why it's called an aqua sheep. We're not going to use it that way though. we are going to do something quite different with it. So what we did there was we launched the aqua sheep into the air, but then we actually deactivated it. We took his cape away and dejected. The sheep just falls straight down, blows up when it hits the leg of the Eiffel Tower, and the explosion is big enough that it permeates the indestructible terrain, knocking the guard into the water. This mission is called Jurassic Worm. This is the first kill the leader mission. The leader is under this dinosaur's legs. We're going to use a mole bomb here, launching them to dig through the terrain whilst we set off a mine there, which knocks the adjacent mine down the tunnel onto the captain, knocking them into the water. Every other enemy worm just surrenders as a result of our superior skills there. And we get to progress very quickly on to the next mission, which is titled Chemical Warfare. Now, this mission is a kind of an interesting one. It doesn't look it necessarily, because there's a lot of very subtle AI manipulation happening in the way that we do this. But this is another mission with indestructible terrain. There's about 6 missions in total across the run that have indestructible terrain, but it's very much a feature of this one. So as you can see, the enemy worms are holed up within the terrain, like so, and we need to be able to kill them off. Ah, right. What I went for there was, you remember the damage count that I was talking about on Big Shot? Basically, the way the damage count works in the middle of a turn is if a worm gets hurt, you've got about half a second's grace when you're on the ground, and then the game will try to count up the damage before it will let you carry on. What I tried to do there was I tried to get that fire punch in before that happened, but I was just slightly too slow. Might be looking at that thinking, oh no, Worm 1's been killed off by the airstrike. That is very much deliberate. The reason for that is we don't need Worm 1 anymore. And also, in terms of being able to manipulate this middle major that you can see just above the mines there, we want this major to walk all the way to the right of where they are stood at the moment. This is because Worm 2 is going to be able to kill them off with a dynamite that they got from a mercy crate that we spawned at the very beginning of this mission. But they need to walk that far in order to do that. And then the final part of the manip here is we're going to kill this field soldier off with the baseball bat there, using the baseball bat's enormous hitbox, so that we can do that from as far right as possible. And pop 4 into that position, which means this major now, as you can see, walking all the way over to the right so they can do this airstrike. And see, there's a little bit of flamage on the field soldier there. Not enough to kill them off, but sometimes you can get a nice free kill as a result of that enemy turn there. And there goes the dynamite. As you see, dynamite, big chunky explosion there. Can do up to 75 damage, point blank range, but here we only needed it so that we could do 30 to those 2 worms that were within the terrain. And then this field soldier is pretty much pacified by this point. We just need to do the honours and finish them off. Got a bunch of weapons we can use to do that. I reckon I am going to go with the minigun, which is probably my favourite of all the guns. Despite its name, it's the biggest hitting gun out of all the guns. It can do up to 100 damage there. Got a pretty magic number in and of itself there, as you probably saw, but yeah, it can do great damage up close. But we didn't need it there. Now, this mission is called No Substitute. This introduces many people's favourite weapon of the franchise. Possibly many people's favourite weapon of the Monty Python franchise as well. It is, of course, the Lord's favourite projectile, the Holy Hand Grenade. We're going to lay one of those right here. Doing a little bit of movement here just to try and set up Worm 1 in a specific position there. Well, there we go. He gets knocked onto the field soldier, like so. And artillery gets blown up to this field soldier here, and because he takes so much damage from the holy hand grenade, he blows up and knocks the field soldier off the tree and into the water, like so. Now field soldier here is going to attack Worm 3. Doesn't really matter if I'm honest. Occasionally it can do some annoying things if Worm 3 lands in a bad position, but like, it's fairly rare that happens. And then Worm 2 here, we're going to use shotgun, because as I mentioned before, shotgun has 2 bullets per turn. So going to use the first one there to knock that field soldier off the tree into the water. And the second thing we're going to do is just going to jump over and use the other bullet to knock this major into the water, like so. Water in this mission rises ever so slowly in between turns. Not really something we need to worry about here, as you can see, because it's just a 2-turner. But this next mission very much plays it up as a gimmick. This mission is called Who Let the Floodgates Open. I'm just going to restart it there because I'm doing a little bit of a movement trick here at the beginning, just to ensure that I can do another one of those lovely sub-pixel maneuvers just to get up a particularly steep surface. And then what I'm doing here is I'm setting up a position for this grenade here, which we're going to bounce up to the secret agent. Like so. It knocks them down into the drowning threshold. It also knocks this mine onto the secret agent on the left there, so he's now also within the drowning threshold. The field soldier above them is not far from the drowning threshold, but not yet quite. So what they're instead going to do is they're going to attack Worm 1, which I've deliberately left where they are as bait. And because of that, field soldier, in a very silly maneuver, just goes down and hangs out in the drowning threshold with the 2 secret agents. So all 3 of those worms are now going to die of natural causes. And I'm placing a girder here so that I can get up to this field soldier. Something to note on this mission is you do have ninja ropes on this one, but they do not become available until turn 4. So because of that, we are slightly limited in our mobility at the moment, hence why we're using the girder. Here comes the RNG portion of the mission. So these 2 secret agents on the left do a number of different things. The secret agent is teleported downwards here, which actually is not a bad move for them. But what I really want to happen here is the secret agent on the left, I want them to do a bazooka, so that they actually create a hole so that we can get through the cables and have a pop at them. So let's see how they do on that. I've got a feeling we're not going to get it on this occasion, unfortunately. Right, so that is a little bit of a problem. May not be the be-all and end-all, but let's see. So here we go. We've now got our ninja ropes, so I'm going to swing across. And I think I am going to make that hole for him at this point, because if you want a good job done, do it yourself. Now it's the secret agent on the right's turn next. They're going to get that crate, which contains blow torches. Oh, and there's another crate there that contains a jetpack as well. Neither of those we really need. But the reason I'm going to let them get that is because it means they are over to the right. I'm going to tank a bazooka here. Nothing too bad. We're going to be well out of the drowning threshold, so it's okay. But secret agent is standing in the perfect position here, so that I can actually longbow them into the water. First thing I'm going to do, though, before I do that, is I am going to get up with this secret agent here. So let's get this. There we are. So ricocheting them off the mine crater so that they go into the water. And then this secret agent here, we can't really kill them off in this scenario, so I'm just going to give them a little bit of a nudge into this area for the moment. I'm going to stand on them, and I'm going to hope this secret agent decides they can't move as a result. They might jump up and walk straight past us as a result. No, okay, they've done a bazooka there, so that's pretty good, actually. Pretty decent outcome. And going down there is a pretty decent outcome as well. So what do I'm just trying to think how best I want to play this now. I think, okay, so what we're going to do, we still got some longbows. I think that's going to be our best port of call. And we're low enough here to be able to jump down. So I'm just going to back jump onto the secret agent and fire them into the hole, like so. You kind of want the two secret agents here. You want to deal with them in 2 turns if you can, like at the end of the mission. But it very depends on whether you get the hole or not to get in there. So, right, this mission is called Super Sheep to the Rescue, and there he is. And we are going to use him to grab a crate, which contains a fire punch. And there it is. We actually reset the mission once, so we got a nearer crate to spawn than the one you're supposed to get. And we used the fire punch to kill off this guard here. When this game first came out, you actually could just blow the sheep up where you were standing, because the missions, by and large, don't care if your worms survive. They care, you know, as long as you achieve the objective of the mission on your last turn, then you're good. But they clearly realised that was a massive back route in this mission, so it got patched out at some point in time. So no cheese for you. Right, this mission has probably one of the most spectacular moves in the... Oh, and I dilly-dallied way too much over that, so we're going to have to take another run up at that. One of the most spectacular moves in the game, though, if we can get it right, it's this mission's called Hot Stuff. The gimmick with this one is... Okay, come on, focus, bricks. 3 worms. As you can see, 3 enemy worms, 300 health each. So you might be thinking, how the hell are we going to kill all of them off quickly? Well, if I can stop whiffing my ninja ropes here, you will soon see. So this is a double damage crate that we're retrieving from beyond this mine here. And once again, we're going to be using the Holy Hand Grenade here. Needs to do a little bit of setup to get it in the right position here. This should be it. Dropping it here. And you're about to see the biggest explosion in the entire game there. So left-hand field marshal goes in the water. The right hand seems to survive, but then the mine lands on him. Worm 1 takes a heck of a lot of damage there. Lands right next to the top field marshal. And the grave damage knocks them into the water, like so. Would have been way more impressive if I've got that on the first try, but hey, I still think it looks pretty darn nice. And we had to do a little sub-pixel, a quarter pixel jump there at one point in order to ensure that you get a 100% success rate on that that grenade spread, because otherwise you only get a 52% chance of that strat going as well as it did. This mission is called Trouble on Mount Wormmore. This is a pretty quick mission. It's a kill the leader mission, and it's the general underneath the Mount Wormmore sign here. And we're going to be using a kamikaze suicidal weapon there. You just like plow straight downwards, creating a tunnel, knocking the captain off the bottom of the sign into the tunnel. All the enemy worms surrender. And it's followed up by the third and final kill the leader mission, which we have to reset 4 times in order to get our favoured mercy crate on this one. This mission is called Chateau Assassin. And this is one of a few missions that I think was a real bugbear for casual players at this game. It's pretty unforgiving trek to try and get to the left-hand side of this mission, but fortunately, as you'll see, you don't really need to. What we are doing is we are popping a girder here, doing a couple of jumps here to set Worm 3 into position on top of this oil drum here. Now the leader that we need to kill off is just the general on the bottom right there, just on the shore. And the way that we're going to do that is, because we reset the mission 4 times, we've got a crate that contains low gravity. We've activated that. We are going to use that now. As you can see, everyone's feeling a little bit floatier at this time. And we've got, we need to grab this crate up here, which contains a fire punch, jumping up here, and then using the fire punch on Worm 3, which in conjunction with the oil drum launches 3 all the way across. We get 1 skim, 2 skim, 3 skim. Not quite a full rainbow there, but lovely pog destruction of the enemy worm faction right there for you without having to traipse all the way across the rooftops. This mission is called Rescue Agent Dennis. Agent Dennis is being played by Worm 1. Worm 1, as you can see, 200 health, a very, very gifted mercenary. Look at all those gifts sitting in his gift shop there. But he's up against it. It's an 8 versus 1 ambush that he's ended up in, so we need to get him to safety. Now, I did a little AI manipulation there, and it actually paid off. It doesn't often happen, but that assassin knocked himself down into the pit here, and that is fantastic, because that saves us a turn later on in this mission. What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to use a homing missile, which I just need to set the crosshairs up hopefully accurately enough for this to pay off. Yeah, what happened there, as you see, you fire a homing missile, and then after half a second, it starts heading towards its target. Has quite a large turning circle, depending on how hard you fire it, but what it did there, it knocked the field soldier into that worm on the right of the letter M, meaning that they both went into the water at the same time. Now, we want the wind to be going right on the next turn, if it's all possible, and that is very slightly right, so we should be able to be okay here. We're going to do a napalm strike. You see, it just drops fire on the worms here, and both assassin and field marshal have gone into the water like so. Means we can get them both in without really having to move. If you don't get that rightward winds, then you can ninja rope up there and drop a dynamite, but it's not as quick. Fun thing about this mission as well, there are crates that drop around the terrain at random. I say fun, not always fun, sometimes they get in the way of what you're doing. They contain select worm, which is a great utility for this mission, as you can see. Who do you want to select, Worm 1 or Worm 1? And then what we did there is we used the banana bomb, a very powerful weapon that basically a banana explodes and sends other bananas out into the air. But what I did is I did something called banana trick, whereby I stood on the edge of a worm's head and placed the banana under my worm's bottom. And his rump absorbed all of the bomblets at the same time, causing this huge explosion that just killed off the enemy worms. And my worm as well. I killed off Agent Dennis. Not very much in the spirit of the mission, but hey, what are you going to do? The game allows it as a win, so I'm taking it. Now, this mission is called Horny Nuke for reasons that are never really elaborated upon. This is I guess what you would call this is another shopper mission, basically. We have no weapons to start with, so we've had to just grab a bunch using our ninja rope there that we got at the start. Drop in a grenade there, 2 seconds, and it blows artillery and guard down into this pile with grenadier and the other guard here. We're going to be using a banana trick again a bit later. You see we picked up a banana bomb in the process. And so we want these 4 worms to keep pretty close to each other as a result. The guard on the right, the top one, will start to disperse slightly later, but it shouldn't be too much of a trouble if everything goes well. Now, grab the holy hand grenade crate. I'm not going to use that yet. I'm going to use another very well positioned grenade there, just to knock that sniper into the other sniper so that they get knocked into the pit there. And this means that we can kill them both off in one go using one grenade. And what I did there was I just flung my worm as far left as possible. Something to note about this mission, you notice all the missions have retreat time after you use your weapons, but this one you only get 2 seconds of retreat time. It's a very odd gimmick for this mission, but because of that you don't have much time to really retreat when you do a weapon, so that's why I did that rope fling as quickly as I possibly could. We have 1 spare ninja rope on this mission, so you know, that kind of that helps a little bit for mobility. And then throw my holy hand grenade over there, like above artillery, and we're going to hope that the explosion and the flame damage kills them off. I don't think it has. So close. We got flaked there, gang. We got a 99, which is the biggest screw you the game can give you. But so we just got to go over there, finish off the job there with just a little spray from my Uzi. F's in chat for artillery, by the way. Like, artillery never had a chance. They have no weapons. They cannot move. They are one of the most useless enemy worms in the whole game. That crate below us, by the way, you'll notice it's glowing red, and it is you are, again, once you're supposed to grab that crate as part of the mission guidelines, but it doesn't actually complete the mission by doing so. Killing off the enemy worms does. However, if you do blow up the crate, then the mission counts that as a fail. So because of that, that's why we had to place that holy hand grenade as high as we did. Now we've got quite a spread on our worms here, but that should be fine. The banana bomb has more than enough potassium in it for everyone there. And again, we're killing off our worm in the process there, but the game doesn't mind. As long as we killed off all the enemies with us, then that counts as a success. We're going to be exploiting this mechanic quite a bit in the second half of this run, as you can see. Next mission is called A Rumble in the Farmyard. This one's quite a fun one, actually. It's yeah, you want another one where it's deceptive. Look, it doesn't necessarily look like the most interesting mission from a casual player, but it has some interesting dynamics. Firing bazooka at this mine here to knock it onto the field soldier, and then jumping onto this mine so that my worm here takes a little bit of damage. You might be thinking, okay, bricks has crumbled. What's going on here? You'll soon see. Artillery's going to fire a bazooka at worm 1. Misses, which is good. And now worm 2. I'm going to use my rope. We get 2 ropes in this mission. Oh, a little bit of a snag on the chicken's head there, but that's fine. And flinging my worm all the way across to the well here, just because it just cuts out a whole load of the map that way. And grabbing ourselves a couple of crates there. Dynamite. And cluster bombs there, both which I need. So we're using the dynamite there to knock artillery and worm 2 into the well. Captain is now, I think, going to stand on artillery's head. Should. He's doing an airstrike on worm 1 as well, which is good. Because worm 1, we want damage management here. We want... Oh, my word. Okay, this. So actually, I think 43 is possibly the highest possible HP we can do this strat with. So what I'm going to do here is I'm doing another sort of quarter pixel manipulation here by jumping up the side of field soldier, nudging into place, firing bazooka here, launching worm 1 into the pile with the other 2 here, and yeah, so 43 is literally the highest you can get away with there, where your worm will die. And with the grave explosion there, it's then going to kill off the 2 worms like so. Yeah, we just about lucked out on that one, because that was quite a sloppy airstrike from the captain. Normally he's a bit more on it. Artillery here. I thought we were going to skip go. No, just going for a bazooka there. Let some air into the well. And then I'm going to do a cluster trick here. So cluster bomb, very similar to a banana bomb, but not as powerful. It blows up, it sends a bunch of little bomblets into the air, but we used cluster trick, you know, aka banana trick there. So we placed it underneath the captain there, who was stood on artillery's head, and that just meant that it absorbed all the clusters like so. How dehumanizing. Right, grabbing the this sheep crate here. This is called Wooden Ambush, this mission. Another one where I think they were probably scraping the barrel a little bit in terms of... What can we possibly call this mission? There's wood, there's an ambush. Now, I sent a sheep down into the hole there to create a big crater to get the 2 field soldiers down near to the water, like so. The spread that has been caused there is not ideal. what I really wanted was them to both land in more or less the same position on the left. Because we're going to send a grenadier down between those two branches this time. A grenade through this time. And what we want is for them to actually I need to walk backwards in order to do it. Get over there. Oh, my worm is rebelling. Come on, I want one thing from you here. I want one position. Yes, that's the kill. Right, 4 seconds on this dude here, and then just going to jump across. And see. Oh, and we got away with it. I changed position slightly from what I would normally use to send the grenade down there, just because they were slightly off base, and it paid off. What I also did on the first turn with Worm 1 is I ended the turn as far up as possible. You notice that meant the field soldier on their first turn fired a bazooka at 4, and they've just done it again because they're their only viable target. Oh, and it means there's now a hole for us to get through, which means I can just jetpack across here, drop a grenade in place, and the grenade launches my worm into those two worms there. And they both go into the hole that we just made. Now this is, as I always say, this is the scariest mission in the game, at least for me. This is called Go Bananas. It's a collect crate mission, and let me just focus on this move here. Right, so what I did there is a grenade launch. We yeeted ourselves over as far to the right as possible, getting us over that banana. And to do that, you have to basically jump just as the grenade explodes, and that will launch you over like so. That is pretty much frame perfect, that trick, and you only get 5 attempts really at this mission to get that right, because otherwise, once you do that, the game starts placing a double damage crate on the bunch of grapes. And it's unavoidable, so if you try and do the grenade launch with that, you're going to end up in a bloody mess in between the bananas. Probably way beyond the bananas, if I'm honest. This mission is called the Drop Zone. We reset it 4 times so that we got some shotguns from that crate that we just grabbed. We're going to use the first one right here. I think that's too late. No, we got it. Okay. So what he did there was he shot that worm at such a point whereby, like, the mine would launch them onto the adjacent islands, so that 2 of them went in at once, and then nudging down here, shooting this field soldier and jumping off the cliff there to knock the 4th one in. So we've already killed off 4 of these enemy worms on our first turn, like so. And someone in a marathon chat recently asked, is there a way you can snap the shotgun to those targets to do it so quickly? Nope. You have to learn all of those angles yourself. So pretty darn scary. Fortunately, you can do what I'm doing here. There's specific terrain markers you can use in order to know that you've got a shot lined up properly. The way that you're supposed to do this mission is you're supposed to use parachutes to float down and then use suicide bombers to kill them off, but we ain't got time for that. That's really inefficient. So using, once again, long shot there, kill the field soldier off, and then save the captain for last. Oh god. Just got it. Excellent. Okay. Slightly worried there. You want to go 3 notches up in order to be able to get that shot in. Just 3 notches. Any more than that, there's a chance you're going to miss. And if you miss, you're out of shotguns at that point. So, okay, this mission is called Countdown to Armageddon. First thing I'm doing there, launching a grenade into the field soldiers to knock them into the water, whilst I jump into Worm 2 to knock them down to the artillery there. This field soldier is now going to be manipulated into firing at Worm 3, and we want, hope, pray he's not going to knock Worm 3 into the Major. He has, but Major hasn't landed in the worst possible position, so that's still alright. We might still be able to get an efficient version of this done. Now I should explain the plot of this mission, because you're probably thinking, who's the wonderful behatted worm in the middle? And that is the politician. Our job is to protect the politician. From what, you may ask? Well, partly from these enemy worms, who we're just vanquishing with getting one of them out of the way with a grenade, piling the rest But also, after about 8 turns in this mission, a meteor storm will happen, and it will absolutely decimate the landscape. Now, we could protect the VIP from that, but what we're going to do instead, we're just going to kill off all the enemy worms long before the meteor storm has a chance to land. The enemy worms don't tend to aim at the politician unless they're really desperate, and even then their CPU level isn't very high, so they don't have a great chance of hitting him. But RNG on this mission can really conspire to mess you up if it wants to. Now, using a baseball bat here to knock all these worms into one all-purpose pile. I'm going to hope, because one of the worms is going to explode here. Artillery, as he often does, manages to climb out of the pot here. I think the rest should die here, so we should be okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So only the artillery left, which is fine. This is not an unheard of outcome, but it does come up way more often than I'd like. But the spread of the worms in that pit before you baseball bat them is kind of so variable, it's hard. Now let's see what artillery's going to do here. That was a little scary there. Thought that he was going to go for the politician with that bazooka there, but wasn't to be. That's good. We've got a spare ninja rope, so that's good. So I'm just going to go over to the artillery there, and I'm going to just kill him off with a grenade on his head. Ah, yeah, I'm done with Worm 2, so I'm just flinging him into the water like so. And there you go. Politician survives for another day. This mission is called Mars Star. This mission is the only one in the game where you get an infinite amount of weapons usages per turn, and our job is to blow up the crate on the right-hand side of the map. So we're doing that by throwing a couple of grenades, using a girder starter pack there to set up a girder so that it deflects the 2 grenades into blowing up the crate like so, and then cancelling the rest of the girder starter pack so we don't have to use the rest of the girders, and skip and go so that we can get to the end of the mission like so. Very nice, very quick, very efficient. And this mission is called Mad Cows. Don't look that mad to me, but there's not much of a gimmick. We are blowing up their heads in this one, so that probably will send them slightly balmy. But this mission has not a huge amount of gimmicks to this, other than the fact that you only get 20 seconds per turn, which isn't a huge amount. But fortunately, it's enough for what we need for each turn. Oh, well, I picked this worm now. Gonna have to work with it. I wanted to use worm 4 for this turn, but that's okay. We should still be fine. I'm gonna just reset my sub-pixel position here for this move, which is it's another grenade. Jumping onto the cow horn there so that I'm in position to get knocked into this major here. Major, unfortunately, survived. Okay, that's pretty rare. I think they've survived. They're puffing. Yeah, that's annoying. Usually they go into the water with the other major there as a result, but that's fine. You actually have a decent arsenal of weapons on this one, so, including a few long distance things. But also, hindsight, good thing that we used Worm 3 for that rather than Worm 4, because Worm 4 is now in a perfect position to mop up the mess that Worm 3 left. Saying it, I don't think you can really blame Worm 3 for that, but double turn time there as well. I don't really care about that. What's best for this? Let's use the fire punch. There we go. The thing, sometimes you can have too much, too many options for what to use in this, especially when you start YOLOing. So major here, we're just going to hope they walk to the right a little bit, maybe not too much. That's quite a lot. I also don't want them to kill off Worm 2. Very good, thank you. You can see the cow's eye there, just looking at what used to be their head. Thinking, oh, I used to have such a beautiful head. And we're going to end this one by doing a dynamite. And you notice the way I nudged across the major's head there? A little trick called dynamite hatting. or mine hatting if you're using a mine, whereby like there's about 6 pixel positions on a worm's head you can use to place dynamite or a mine. And based on those, you will get a different trajectory launching the worm as a result. So you have to kind of learn all those positions in order to be able to pull that off. So this mission here is called Bazooka on the Rocks. And this is probably one of the most annoying missions in the game, if it wants to be. You only have bazookas, as the title implies. Now, fortunately, the wind is always consistent on the first turn here, which means I can do that bazooka there that knocked the captain into the other captain and onto that mine. And the grave damage there ensures that the other captain gets killed off. The reason this mission is annoying is because of this captain in the bottom left, really. Like, they are in an absolutely horrible position to be able to deal with, given that you only have bazookas. And so, because of that, we are going to be using something else to deal with them, which you will see fairly shortly. First thing, though, is we need to deal with this major. And let's see, that is very unusual wind for this, so I'm just need to try and remember. Okay, that's 2 notches up on this one, I believe. Oh, I'm not sure if that's going to be 75 damage. Please, 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 please. Yeah, okay, 76. Just got away with it. There's basically 4 pixel positions for that bazooka that you can use depending on what the wind is to get that effect on major. You don't usually get right wind that strong, so actually I've got a chart on my wall I use in order to memorize all of the pixel positions there. I do confess I did have to. You can't really see me on the Obscurathon stream. I assume you can't. I haven't actually checked, but I did have a quick sneaky peek of the chart to see what to use there. Now here we go with our ace up our sleeve there. We reset the mission once. They gave us this Mercy homing missile crate there. Used that to kill the captain off. Unfortunately, the captain was in a great position. Sometimes they can be in a really terrible position and the homing missile just will not cut it. But played ball on that occasion. This mission is called Stolen Goods. First thing we're doing here is ninja roping under the now slightly archaic Microprose logo. Microprose were the original publishers of Worms Armageddon. And the object of this mission is some high-powered crates over on the left here within the terrain that have fallen into enemy hands. We have to pretty much get our hands on those in order to be able to kill these enemies off. And I've positioned Worm 1 in a very specific position there, which means that the cluster bomb is going to be aimed at them rather than Worm 2. Now occasionally the cluster there will knock that mine out of the way. It hasn't done so yet. It doesn't necessarily matter. What we're going to use is a weapon called a French sheep strike. So all rise for the French national anthem. Here we go. As you can see, it drops 5 flaming sheep onto the enemy, like so. They bounce once, each of them. Bounce is very RNG, so because of that you never quite know exactly what's going to happen. But we got 3 kills there, which is pretty nice. On some rare occasions you can get a whole clean sweep there and kill them all off with the French sheep strike, but it's pretty rare that you do. But Worm 1 is in a relatively decent position to be able to deal with a field soldier. And he skipped go as well, that's very nice. So jumping out here, and this is some very quick roping, if I may say so, by my standards. And then we're just going to do a quick little Uzi, like so, to kill them off. Yeah, you get a couple of like close range weapons here that you can use, but nothing so big, which is why you need the French sheep strike. Also a weapon in the left hand crate there called Mike's carpet bomb, which is similar, but not quite as powerful. But it basically just drops a bunch of rolled up carpets onto the enemy worms, which is a lot of fun and very cheap as a sail-on. Right, this mission is called Sinking Ice Cap. We've got nothing but blowtorches to deal with the enemy worms here, but fortunately they all have 20 health. And 2, 3, 4. Jumping onto Assassin's head here for an AI manipulation. This assassin is now going to try and attack us with an airstrike. When they do, we're actually going to fall off their heads, which happens whenever an enemy uses a weapon while someone's still on them. They hit the mine like so. The mine kills them off. Now, the amount of damage we take from this can vary, but we've got pretty much a perfect amount of damage here because we want basically less than 8 HP for this turn for what we're about to do. So next thing we're going to do here is we're going to swing across to the right hand side like so. I'm going to drop onto this assassin here, use the blowtorch on them. 4 hits will do it. Jump onto the chimney like so, jump across and then jump down onto the assassin like that. And because we've got less than 8 HP, one dies from full damage, and the grave damage knocks the assassin there into the mine, killing them off as well. So managed to kill all 4 worms on that one off in 2 turns. And ours as well. But again, game's just kind of like, yeah, you go on, mate. This mission's called Aim Long, Aim True. This mission is... There's a few missions in this game that are what you would call artillery missions, where all of the worms are routed to the spot, and this is one of them. And we only have grenades to be able to deal with these enemies, and the terrain is indestructible. So I'm having to set up some girders to help me with the angles that I need to kill everyone off in this one. Starting off here by throwing a grenade at the grenadier on this robot's shoulder here. That's going to knock them down onto the grenadier in the middle here. And their grave damage is going to cause 13 damage on this grenadier. And this grenadier here, basically because of the girders we placed above him, can't really do much on worm 1 here, so he's going to throw a grenade at that general over there, and then firing a grenade at the same angle again, but with only about 3/4 power. That sends the grenadier down onto the lower grenadier, and as you can see, we're going to kill this middle grenadier off without throwing a single grenade at them, just using surrounding grave damage, like so. And then this general cannot do anything to hurt us at all. So that's fine. We've got plenty of time now to get this last shot in. This is a pretty hard shot to get, but we'll see. So I've changed the bounce on the grenade to maximum, by the way. I forgot to mention that's something you can do as well. But that just enables us to bounce the grenade between the girders like so, and killing off the general. And there we are. It's a great mission, that one. I like that a lot. This mission's called Goody Two Shoes. There's actually 3 shoes in here, but who's to say that they're all good and wholesome? We don't know what they've done in their lives. This mission is another shopper one. The object is to kill off all the enemy worms. We don't really have much to be able to do that at the moment, though we do have an aqua sheep. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the aqua sheep to collect some of these crates, so that we can use those on the enemy worms, like so. To be able to do that, though, we actually do need to blowtorch to the surface first. So this mission, I would say, has probably the most boring start to it out of any mission in the game. And if this was a charity-based marathon, this is where I would call for donations at this point. But instead, I'll just dish out some facts about the game, like so. There's 4 crates that we need to get from this one. It's the one on the left and the 3 on the right. They contain collectively an airstrike, some baseball bats, ninja ropes, and there's also one that contains grenades as well, which we don't necessarily need, but it's good to have on standby. And then we're going to leave all the remaining crates as well. And also, I did reset this mission once before I started it, and that's going to make a crate spawn next to this second field soldier over here very shortly. That crate contains a napalm strike. We actually don't need the napalm strike, though. Or at least I don't. I used to use it actually because I was pretty bad with the airstrike on this when I first started out, but I eventually learned. So instead I'm going to use this crate for a different purpose. First of all though, let's just make sure we get this aqua sheep right. So off we go. Oh. Okay, good. Nearly missed the ninja rope there, but that's fine. And then blowing up the field soldier like so. And I think you can see what we had the napalm crate for there now. Just a little extra ammunition to ensure that we definitely killed that field soldier off once and for all. Just because they're in the most awkward position out of any of the left-hand field soldiers, so it's just a nice way of ensuring. There's also an angle that you can do on that field soldier where if you aim the aqua sheep just slightly to their right and below them, then you can knock them into the water. But pretty hard to get consistently, that one, just because I don't know if you've played the Worms games, but super sheep are not the easiest things to control. It took a lot of practice for me to get as good as I am at super sheeping. Using the baseball bat there, ricocheting the worm off into the sea, like so. That just makes it a little bit extra satisfying, but also we couldn't physically get to their right, so it's pretty much a necessity. Then this field soldier here, throwing a grenade at worm 1, bouncing off the lapel there, nothing to worry about. You do want to keep your worms well sheltered in this mission, just because if you look at the flag next to the enemy team's name at the bottom there, you'll see there's a number 5 in it. That number denotes the enemy's intelligence level in each mission. So the intelligence levels can be between 1 and 5, with 1 being the weakest, 5 being the highest. And level 5, the enemy shots are usually pretty darn accurate. And in this one, you've only got 100 health and 1 worm, so you do want to basically try and keep your worm at reasonable health until you're in a position where you can start killing them off. Had no problems with that on this one, and I'm just going to do now a airstrike. Knocking Major and the other field soldier into the water, like so. Using, again, very specific terrain marker from the boot in order to be able to get them into the water. Here we are on the penultimate mission. Now, this mission is called Trouble in Toy Store. And starting off with a grenade. And I've just made a mistake. Okay, let's try that again. So the fuse was wrong on that grenade. It needs to be 4 seconds rather than 3. So let's have another go at that. I'm just dropping down onto the bandage here. If you are a little squeamish, I would suggest not watching this mission, because you will possibly see some violence on the adorable teddies on this one. This one's, as you can see, has already had some done to it, so it may not be for the faint of heart. And then this captain here, we want them to walk to the right hand side of the teddy's ear. They have done so. It's the okay. Well, at least it's the shoulder that they got of this teddy. But captain is in perfect position here, because this means we can do the move that we need to do here, which is a cluster trick. But it's a long distance one. We're actually going to bounce cluster bomb all the way across, like so it blows up under the captain's bottom, like that. Knocks them into the sniper, knocking them into the mine. Neither of whom are dead. But that's to be expected, because the spread on the clusters is RNG, then where the captain lands is always slightly variable. So we're going to now try and let's see if this sniper's not going to move here. So we don't have much in the way of weapons on this one. What I would normally like to do, when I say like, well, I just realised we've got spare weapons on this because I ended up resetting the mission due to the failed grenade. But what I normally like to do is I usually end up using a mortar from the position that Worm 3 is in, because although mortars are undoubtedly the worst weapon in the game, there are a few positions where they can actually come in handy. Where Sniper and Captain are at is not one of them, at least not for me. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of mortar positions here, so I'm just going to use that mine there to knock the adjacent mine onto the two of them to kill them off. It's a bit of a trek, a bit of a pilgrimage, as you can see, but honestly, I'd much rather spend time doing that than I would use a mortar and it not work. Now, we haven't talked about the VIP in this mission yet. The one with the hat there, that is the scientist. That's who we're trying to protect here. And the assassin below is trying to kill them off, or would be if we hadn't thrown Worm 2 slightly closer to them. So they're going with them as the target instead.
Yes,
You'll notice they're looking a bit sick, by the way. The scientists. They're poisoned. So they lose 3 health between every turn. Not something you actually need to worry about in this mission. Like compared to Countdown to Armageddon, the VIP in this one is pretty safe overall. And also, they won't actually die just as a result of the poison. The poison will always cap at 1 HP. So because of that, like, you know, they would need to take some damage from outside sources to be able to die. But we've got a spare weapon here. We don't normally get this, but we got a holy hand grenade from the crate there. So because of that, I think, do you know what? It's your last chance to sing along at home if you know the words. Let's have one more holy hand grenade for the ride. There you go. Away he goes into the ether. Or water, as I believe it's known to humans. And now time for the final mission of the game. And this is not anywhere near the big showdown that you're all hoping for. But it... Okay, what the heck happened there? I selected the blowtorch game, you know I did. This mission is called Spectral Recovery. And the object of this mission, apart from showing off the Bizarro World's ZX Spectrum version of Worms Armageddon, is there's a crate that we need to rescue from falling into the sea. It's going to fall into the sea in several turns' time, and we need to grab a girder from the crate in the middle of the mission and place that to stop the crate from falling into the sea. Now, there's a very dry, boring 4 minutes of blowtorching way that you can do this mission, or you can do it the way I'm going to do it here, bouncing a 2-second grenade at the captain over there, and as that knocks the captain into the water down the side of the tape, I'm jumping into the field soldier on the right there to knock them into the water, like so. So that's 2 of the enemy worms killed off. We've got 1 enemy worm left on this mission, and this captain, gotta say, a real ferocious, a real piece of work. Look at this. They're actually coming down the side of the tape to get their hands on Worm 1. They're so livid at what we've done. They're kind of like, this is it. This is my time to shine. Let's get rid of this sucker. Who's the sucker now, Captain? Who's the sucker now? So, with that out of the way, we're just going to blowtorch through, knock the captain off the oil drum there. And all the enemy worms are killed. GG's, right? Nope. Nope, not quite. Not quite. Remember, we've got a crate to save. So, what this means now is because we've killed off all the enemy worms, we get all their turns to ourselves. Oh, what the hell are you doing? Wait, we got enough blowtorches. Yeah, no, we don't. Wait, oh no. Oh, whoops. Okay, this is exciting now. Well, it's not that exciting, to be honest with you. Because we got all the enemy worms' turns, we got plenty of time to sort out the mess I just made. For those who didn't quite see what happened there, I prematurely cut off the blowtorch I did there towards the girder, which meant that I am now 1 blowtorch short of being able to get to the surface here. Fortunately, I do have an alternative way of being able to do this, so do not panic. We are still going to rescue that crate. It's funny. Usually this is actually quite a sort of laid-back, peaceful, not the most exciting ending to a run here, but it has ended up going slightly off-piste due to my incompetence here. Alright, so what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to set this mine off deliberately, just to get the other mine out of the way, like so. And then, yeah, so enemy air transport en route, we are being warned, but we still actually have another 5 turns before it lands, so because of that, we've got plenty of time. Oh gosh, I forgot how point blank you have to be to actually set a girder. Oh, get up there. Get up there. Yeah, let's have some wind in the background as well, that's what's fun. Didn't talk much about the background layers earlier, but like I have, I'm just going to skip go for the rest of these, but yeah, I always have the background layer just below this one on. And then we just skip go until the crate arrives. Here's the last message we get from base, and then we skip go. And then time is going to be when we hit the congratulations screen, which is... oh, now. Alright, fade skip didn't work out for me there, unfortunately, but hey, there it is. That is Worms Armageddon. All missions completed. And according to my timer, that is 1 hour, 12 minutes, 53 seconds, and 46 of the little ones on the ends there, which, not a PB. My PB is currently 1 hour 9, but that's my best time in a marathon to date. So, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. That's, I've got to say, Worms Armageddon, a real fun speedrun. Would love to get more people involved in the run. It does look and seem quite intimidating to people, but we have resources to help you get into that run should you want to. There is the Worms Speedrunning Discord that I highly recommend you all join. A nice friendly bunch of Worms runners there who'll be able to answer any questions that you might have about the game. I've also written up a whole Google Doc that gives you advice on how to speedrun all of the missions in the game. So if you go to speedrun.com page for Worms Armageddon, then that will give you the link for that. But yeah, that's been me. I'm RuffledBricks. Check me out at twitch.tv/RuffledBricks. I speedrun all of the second generation Worms games. So Worms 2, Worms Armageddon, Worms World Party. Often do them in one go as well in a run that I call the Worms 2 Trilogy. So please do follow me if you want to see that. Or me speedrunning many other cartoony graphics games that you may like. Shout out to the Worms speedrunning community. Shout out to Obscure Speedruns Club, sorry, for having me on this occasion, and shout out to Obscurathon for giving these games a chance to shine. And yeah, that's been it for me. And stick around. I'm sure there'll be some other great runs that you can catch after the break.